I have been painting this morning, enjoying the beautiful spring weather. I've got my door open. Hoping I don't draw too many flies in here, but I love the breeze. And my cat likes to go in and out of the patio, or the catio, if you want to call it that. So I've just been having a lovely time with my watercolors. And I was thinking about my beautiful community and thought, hey, let's pop on and make some art together. I've been doing some watercolor flowers, and I've been playing around with making some spheres. It's so meditative and relaxing, and it's fun to play with these shapes. And then you start out with the spheres, and getting real technical here, circles, spheres, whatever you want to call them. And then overlapping with some fun other elements, maybe some leaves or flowers or just squiggles. It's a great way to experiment and explore with different supplies. So if you've got watercolor or pencil, wanting to play around with combining the two, this would be a really fun one to do that with. But like I said, you can use whatever your little heart's desire. I'll give another minute before I start. And thank you so much. I hope you're having an awesome weekend so far. Maybe let me know in the chat where you're joining me from. That would be awesome. And what supplies you pulled out this morning for our spontaneous creative verse session. Set this up, and then we'll get started. Hey, so nice to have you join. Let us know where you're popping in from. And you may see a notification that I'm recording this, so I can send the replay for anyone who may not have had the opportunity to join us today. This is just a fun time to play with some art supplies together. And I love to be in community and bounce ideas off of one another. I think that's one of the best parts about being creative is I always say creativity is contagious, catch the vibe. It's a really wonderful way to encourage one another, to use your artistic ability that is inside of every one of us. Yes, indeed, it is. We are all creatives. So let me know where you're joining from. And Southeast Minnesota, just watching. Did I read that right? I think that's awesome, Tamara. Okay, we're gonna get started. So you can see I've been playing all morning. Got some backgrounds that I started. Just playing with some bees, very fluffy, fuzzy bees, and some watercolor backgrounds and florals. So it's just fun to play, mess up, play again, and make your art. Okay, so to start, let's see if I need to let anybody else in as we go along. I just grabbed some scrap, and I love to use this size because I love to read. I've got some new books from the library, and I'm excited to start those this weekend. Kind of cool because our community pool actually opened earlier than Memorial Day. Generally, they only do it Memorial Day. And so I'm going to grab my book and my sketch pad, and I'm going to take my bookmarks that I make with you guys today so I don't lose my place. Okay, let's make a lovely, beautiful watercolor background. And I'm gonna just, as you can see, I've been working. My water needs changed, but it's okay because I'm just gonna stick with this really pretty pink. It's called Spectrum Red, and it's a gouache that's just a little more intense pigment. And I'm going to show you a really fun technique. I dipped quite a bit of pigment on, and then I'm going to take some off because I'm going to go light to dark. And then I'm gonna take my brush, using it in a vertical hold, so up and down, and I'm just gonna start adding some pigment in a circular motion and work outwards. It's very smooth, letting the brush make a sphere, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a nice, smooth motion with your brush. Okay, I'm going to wash that off, and then I'm going to do another one. I'm going to vary the sizes, and I'm going to vary the amount of pigment that's on the brush, so there's a nice range for our background. That one's just a little bit smaller, and you can see I'm just keeping that brush up and down. There you go. And rinse a little more off. This one will be even lighter, more of a transparent, and it can flow off the edges. Don't worry if you bump over the edge. I think it adds more interest when things break out of borders. Okay. Continue, a little lighter again this time, and I'm going to go a little larger, keeping it vertical. A little less pigment again. I'm going to come up here. You can make them wherever your heart desires. This is just, and they can even bump against each other, which is kind of fun because then you start to get that pull of the watercolor might start to pull from this circle to this one if it's still wet enough. It's kind of cool. And let's go down here. A smaller one. Oop, I'm not doing it vertical so much. That really is key to go vertical. It makes it easier to make your brush go in a smoother fashion. There we go. Okay, and I think I'll come back in and add a little more pigment. Let me come up here, start here. How's everybody doing? Do you have any questions? Pop them in the chat. I love to give you support. Remember, you're playing, and that's how we learn, just like little kids. Whatever they get into, they're exploring with reckless abandon. They don't get all up in their heads thinking, am I doing this right? They just go for it. And I'm just going to encourage you to tap into your inner child and go for it. Can't do any harm with circles. You can't mess them up. Just so you can see. There you go. And it's very meditative and soothing to connect the brush to the watercolor to the surface. Just very pleasant brain break, if you will. We all need a brain break. You'll really start to get into the rhythm after a while. You feel, hey, I got this. No worries. No worries. Just circles. So you can see, I'll bring this up a little bit. You can see what we got going on here. All the way across the paper in various sizes. And I think I'm going to make some connect now. I'm going to come in and let them bump against each other. Maybe a little more pigment color. to this one. So I get a little more variation between all of these ones that I'm kind of connecting now. Yeah, this is really turning out very lovely. I'm really grooving on this process here. Another one down here. So another plus is we're only using one color, and by adding water, we can lighten and change the value of it, or we can use less water and deepen the value of it. And it looks like we've got a beautiful range of that one color. Okay. So that's gonna dry and we can start, you can keep going on yours. I'm gonna start another one so this can dry. And this time, I think I'm going to do some blue. Let's see how the blue turns out. This might end up being a little purple since I didn't change my water, but for the sake of our creative burst time, I'm not going to change it. Okay, so again, vertical brush. Just starting in the middle, from that center point, working out to the size that you desire. There's the first one. Add a little more pigment for my next one. Ooh, that's really dark. That's okay, because I can mop up some of that pigment if I think it's too dark and wipe it on my paper towel. I always have a paper towel and a couple jars of water handy for little adjustments like this, and you can, whoops, it's very forgiving. As long as it's wet, you can just go back in and adjust to what you were going for. There you go. I think that's a little better that way. Because what I want to do is keep this sort of subtle, because then I'm going to come in and add some other fun elements on top of it. Fill up the whole space. Don't be shy. Oh, something got in there. Just remove it, probably some dried paint. Here. And a little more blue to this one. And like I said before, don't be afraid if the spheres go to the edge and work their way off the paper. That makes it look even more interesting, I think. I think I'm gonna try coming into the edge of some of these and letting them bloom a little bit. The ones that are wet, you'll see they'll create a little more of a bloom. This guy is a little more wet down here. We'll try that here. Yeah. Just sort of hitting them on the corner. See, it starts to spread because it's called wet on wet. So it kind of pulls that pigment into the shape. You can help it out by adding a little more water, but this is fun. I'm loving what's going on here. Kind of bring it up closer so you can see, and you can even move it so it spreads. This one, it's a little too dry, but we can help it out. So another fun variation with the wet on wet is to add some darker pigment and let it be pulled into the shape. You can really, whoa, there you go. You can really see it happening right here. Okay, let's see how my other one is doing, if it's getting dry. Yep, I think it is. I'm gonna go ahead now, let this one dry. It's fun to work on a couple at a time, so you can keep your flow going. And let's try, I think I'm gonna try a littler brush. You can still use whatever brush you have as long as you get it to a nice little point, and I'll show you how to make some leaves. I've got a couple greens here. Going to start with the tip, and then I'll add pressure and then squish and come up on the tip again. I'm going to add a little more water. Tip, pressure, and lift. There's one leaf. It's a little too dry there, so I'm going to help it out. Okay. Pigment, point, pressure, lift, point. Let's start here in the point, pressure for the other side, lift to the point. You can add whatever you want to your background that you created. I'm just going to go with these little leaves. Add a little detail. And varying again how much water I'm adding to change the value of that pigment, that hue. And just randomly placing them on this background that we created. It's getting some good energy. It's really, really fun. Happy colors. Loving the pinks and the greens together. And you can even start to let the leaves overlap. Okay, a little too thick there, that's okay. I can just use my brush to thin it out. A little more water there to adjust it, no worries. Fill that in a little. And after these start to dry, you can even come in and start adding a little more detail to the initial leaves or whatever shape you decided to layer on top of the spheres that we created. Because it's dry enough that your details will pop. You get a nice little pop of interest here. And all the way down and across. You can start to add other elements. You could work into this with color pencil would be really cool. You can use a Posca marker maybe to add some white. I'm gonna try this titanium white gouache just for fun. I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of the green pigment. And start to let things kind of layer, bump into each other. Kind of giving a nice collage effect, but with paint and pencil. These little starbursts are kind of fun. Layer by layer, creating a lovely composition. This is mixed media when you start to combine more than one form of art supply. And you get some really cool effects when you combine them. Let's see. Fun with layers. Now, once that's dry, you could go in and maybe write your name or a verse, something that is inspiring to you. You could use permanent marker to do that. And your handwriting always gives it, I think, so much more personality. And it's just more personal. And it's also an art form. So I hope you're having a lovely time. Continue working. I hope this kickstarted your creativity for the weekend. Be encouraged. Share what you made on my Facebook page, Inner Spring Studio, Lynnie Marie, and I will see you all later. Does anyone have any questions before we go? I really enjoyed this creative time together. Thank you for joining the Creative Burst. I'll wait around for a minute, see if anyone has a question, and then I'll let you go enjoy your Saturday. Okay, everyone, I'll talk to you soon. Look for the emails that I'll be sending out for the upcoming workshop. I'm going to demonstrate some really cool techniques for making lovely underpaintings, and we'll keep it spring theme. It'll be coming up here next Saturday, so be looking for all the details in the email. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.